Mommy Bosses. My name is Karen Ward. I'm an advanced certified personality trainer, speaker, coach, and the author of the book, Couple for Life, Overcoming Personality Differences in Marriage. And you are tuned in to the Mommy Business Podcast.
Today on the Mommy Business Podcast, we have Ms. Karen Ward. Karen, welcome to the Mommy Business Podcast. We're glad to have you here today just to share a little bit insight about your business and just to speak to my audience a little bit. So do you mind sharing a little background about how you got started and just introduce yourself to my audience?
Thank you so much. As I said in the intro, that I am an advanced certified personality trainer and speaker. I wrote my first book 2 years ago called Couple for Life, Overcoming Personality Differences in Marriage. The way I got started was years ago, I was a mentor to teen and young adult women, and I provided training courses for them to help them to live out their best life, to teach them some life skills so that they can build stronger, healthier relationships with each other and with anybody they come in contact with. And so as I was teaching that, I found out about the personalities. And it was so intriguing to me because I learned about myself, but I also was able to teach the young women how that it's okay to be different. You don't have to be like a carbon copy of somebody else. The young people, they love Beyonce and they want to look like her and dress like her and be like her. But we are all uniquely designed and we should be operating within our unique gifts and purposes. And so in order to do that, you have to learn who you are. So I started teaching about personalities because I think it is the cornerstone of being your authentic self.
I love that. And that's why a lot of times I say, my life, my blueprint, because it is about discovering the life for you, not the life, especially, with Instagram. It confuses people a lot. You see this, you're like, oh, I want to mimic that. And it's like, it's okay to be inspired, but discover who you are so you can just live your best life. So
it's the worst thing to try to live an inauthentic life because you can never be the best somebody else. You can only be your best self.
Yep. Amen. So what is the impact that our personality have on our relationships, especially, let's say, within a marriage? Because sometimes a lot of people when they're married, they feel like you're set, you're grown, or you think you know you. And it's like, once you get married, you feel like you have to adapt and you change a little bit about yourself because you're trying to make sure you're a perfect fit for that spouse or that mate. So how does that play a part?
Personalities, the way personalities play into relationships is the way it plays into everything. Your personality is the lens by which you view the world. So how you see the world, how you perceive the world it comes from your personality. So if you are a strong, bold personality style, then that's how you think everybody else is strong and bold. If you are maybe more mild and calm, you think the world should be calm. But the personalities help you to see how you were uniquely designed and how you can operate in relationships with other people. The one big problem that we have in relationships is that we tend to try to make the other person be like we want them to be. Or how we are, or how we think they should be. Now, this would be one boring world if all of us had the exact same personality style. Right. The same way, right? So personalities really are key to understanding your mate and being able to understand what your mate needs and your mate being able to understand what it is you need.
Okay. And how can you do that? Does it just come with like communication more or just really like studying that person, or what tips can you give on how to, understand your mate personality better?
One of the ways you can do that is to pay attention to your mate because it give you clues all day long, every day. If you're married to a person that is really bold and confident and will say whatever they feel like saying at any given time with no filter, you're married to that person. Or you're married to a person that does not speak up often. And when they have something to say, it's important. Or they don't want to, argue or fight with you. Those things are clear to you. So now how do you operate within that, right?
Right.
Things that I say in my training classes and in my speaking engagements is, and Letitia, you probably know the answer to this, but do you know what the number one reason for divorce is?
I would say financial or financial.
That's one of the ones, but
Lack of communication.
the number one reason for divorce is selfishness.
Huh.
Right. That's
That's
what I did
number
when I first heard that. It was like ding, 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 ding. Because if you think about it, if you deal with the selfishness in a relationship, it will fix every aspect of your life. So let's say your finances, you're having problems with a spouse that's spending money out of control. That person's being selfish with their finances.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a person that is cheating on you, that person's being selfish with their time and their body.
Yes.
Right? If
Yes. Yeah.
not communicating well, that person's being selfish because all they care about is their own point of view. So if you attack selfishness, you will fix all of the other issues in your relationship.
Oh my goodness. Look, we need to have a scene with you on Love and Marriage Huntsville. That is so true, because when you think about it, that is true. When you think about, even if it comes to finance, because it's one spouse is spending how they want to spend. They don't care about, talking to the other person about it. So that is a selfish trait. So
right. Every aspect. So I'm both extroverted personality styles. So I'm a person who flies by the seat of my pants. I like live life to the full. I don't care about money. It'll come when it comes. I'll make it if I have to. That's usually my personality, right? My husband we have the same personality, what I call blocks, the same personality styles, but he's primary in one and I'm secondary in that same one. And what happens is when you have people who have the same blocks and they're operating the same personality styles, what tends to happen is one person will start to shift. Because otherwise, if both me and my husband both like to fly by the seat of our pants, spend all our money, do all, travel, have fun, and not pay attention to life, we'll be on the streets with no place to live, and not being able to function. So that causes people to sometimes shift in their personalities based on the set of circumstances.
I like that. Yeah. Do you think that's where the phrase come from, where they say opposite attracts? Because they always say, like, in a relationship, you may have one spinner, you're going to have one saver. So, yeah.
And because that is what they call the balance, right? If you have opposites, and a lot of times opposites, I find that in my business, that opposites are attracted to one another. Now, the funny thing about that is when you have opposite attract, that's the thing that draws them together, because the quiet person wants to be with somebody who's more bold, right? And the bold person may want somebody to help calm them down a little bit. So you'll find those opposites, but if they don't figure out the balance in the relationship, it'll become annoying to them. So a person who doesn't make a lot of decisions, and it's a person who makes all the decisions, at some point, that person who makes all the decisions wants some input from the person who does not. Right? And the person who doesn't like to make decisions does not like to be forced to make decisions by the person who does.
Right.
So that can work really well when you find the balance. And that's in any relationship. Even if you have the same personality styles, which my husband and I do, you have to find what balances the relationship.
I like that, Karen. That was some good tips and good advice. What advice do you give for couples with balancing business and family?
So you have to know what's important to you, right? And you have to have that discussion of what's important to you. It's interesting because I'm drafting stuff up for another book, and I was just thinking about work and how there's certain personalities that place a whole lot of emphasis on work, right? And let's just say you have a spouse that is focused on getting it done, making it happen, building a legacy for them and their families. But what I think happens, and it's a mistake that happens, is that when we get married, we do everything to plan for a wedding, right? We have all the activities, the engagement parties, the engagement proposal. My daughter's getting married next year, so I'm going through all this right now.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. But then you have all the invitations, all the stuff you got to do. And it's a lot of work, right? To plan for the wedding. Then the wedding happens, the honeymoon happens, and then nobody does anything else to work for the relationship.
Right.
Well, that's what happens when you have a spouse that's a workaholic. They put forth what's important to them, and they put back on the back burner what should be the most important to them, which is your family. You have to make sure your household is managed, that you're putting in the time with your spouse, that you're spending some time with your children and balancing that out, even if it means you schedule it.
Yes.
You have to do it, but you have to make sure that your family is the priority, or it's the thing you will lose the fastest.
Oh my God. I feel like you're speaking to me. I totally agree with that. And I have not done like any research on it, but I know my husband and I, because I always call my husband a workaholic. And we talked about that actually this season on the show, exactly what you're saying. We discussed that in with the counselor. And I was just like, I just feel like you have to prioritize your family. And then, in your business, you have to, like, even if it's like putting a schedule together. And so the counselor told me, because my husband was like, I'm sorry, it's kind of loud. We have the landscape guy out here. But he said, he was like, okay, well, we're going to schedule date night. And he put in his calendar Thursday, remind me that it's date night. And so the counselor was like, oh, well, how do you feel about him putting you on schedule? I was like, I'll take what I can take. As long as we put time in, if you got to put me in your planner, we can schedule that. So,
and because you can appreciate the fact that he's a hardworking man, right? And that he's trying to provide for the family, and he's trying to not only provide today, but he's trying to provide a legacy. So you can appreciate that. But you also want the time that you need to continue to keep the fire burning in your relationship.
Exactly.
And it doesn't have to be extravagant. It could be small. I remember on last season, you did a whole little balloon thing outside. It was beautiful. That kind of thing is special, but it could be just as simple as watching a movie on the floor with some popcorn, just making sure it's intentional time and that you're spending together, reigniting a quick weekend away, a quick night away, getting a babysitter just so you can have a date. My husband and I date going to Sam's Club, BJ's, and Costco. Because whatever you can fit it in is what you got to do, because I'm a workaholic husband too. So
see, yeah, I understand. You understand it. So tell us about your book, Couple for Life. Is that Couple for Life? And you also have a t-shirt line as well?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So, and I'm wearing one of my t-shirts today.
I like
that. My book is about, it really was celebrating relationships, because I got this name Couple for Life. It was a spiritual thing. I got the name Coupled for Life, and I trade named it because what it meant to me was that married people, once you say I do, it shouldn't be about I love you. It shouldn't be about we can be a power couple. It shouldn't be about those things. It should be about until death do us part. And so the book is based on the wedding vows, and each of the chapters talk about couples who have, talk about the personalities, but then it talks about couples who struggled in their relationships and how they were able to overcome those areas in that particular wedding vow. So, for better or for worse, if you had some issues for better or for worse, or you had some in sickness and in health, they talked about how they went through those struggles and was able to overcome. So the book is really about overcoming our personality differences, because guess what? I don't care whether you're in a marriage, if you're working with somebody, if you have children, you're going to have personality differences.
Yes.
Right? And the way you can only deal with them is to learn to overcome them by putting that person before you put yourself.
Yes. I love that. Well, look, we're going to do a whole nother series on the book. Is the book out already?
It is out.
How can we order that?
You can do it on Amazon or on my website, which is beyond2llc.com. It's the other way you can get it. And if you get it through me, I autograph the book and send it to you. And every book has been blessed with bless oil.
Oh, man.
So, yeah.
I love that. And I love the fact that it's about celebrating couples in love and marriage, because this new generation, I don't know why they're trying to get away from that, but I'm like, listen, that's God's ordained family.
Yes,
so.
yes. it's true. And it's the kind of thing that I think people give up on marriage too easily.
So easily, yeah.
And if I hear another person say, I don't love them anymore, I've fallen out of love. Do you know how many times I've been married? It'll be 27 years this year. And you know how many times I've fallen out of love with my husband?
Right.
Because he has worked the only nerve that's in my body. And I know I've worked the only nerve that's in his body. So we have been through those periods of time, and mine is in the book. It talks about it in the book. But we've been through those periods where I thought the marriage was going to be over. And so what I've realized is that when people say I'm not happy, happiness is fleeting, right? You're not happy today doesn't mean you're not happy tomorrow.
Absolutely.
Or next week. You got to ride that thing out until the wheels fall off.
I'm with you on that, because you're not always going to be happy, but it's like at the end of the day, I love you and I want to do life with you, but I don't like you right now, so leave me alone.
And that will happen multiple times throughout your marriage. Lakeisha, how long have you been married?
15 years. September 2nd, it'll be 15 years.
So that's what I'm saying. You know that there are times when you don't like them at all. But you get over it, and then all of a sudden you look at them and go, wow, I really love you.
Right. Like, I'm happy I didn't give up on us.
Exactly. Going into 3 decades with the same man.
That is amazing.
Yeah, when you go through some stuff, you know, but you got to really fight for it. And if you fight for it, I'm telling you, the blessings are right there for you.
Yes, I love that. And I love to just celebrate like long marriages, especially within the Black community, because a lot of times we don't get to see that. So kudos to you. I love that. So what do y'all have or you and your husband, what do you have coming up next in your career, in your life?
So I'm a professional speaker. And so before pandemic, I did a lot of traveling and things of that nature. And I spoke like Costa Rica on cruises. And so I truly miss that. With everything that's in me, I miss that. And so I can't wait for us to get back together, but I do a lot of speaking engagements. I'm doing one right now. It's a parenting one. It's for a fatherhood program in my county. And so we speak to fathers, helping them to understand the personality of not only their children, but their significant other, so that they can keep healthier, stronger relationships. So I am going to be writing another book. I have started a t-shirt line, a whole couple for life line that I'm doing. And so the next things that I have on schedule is just to stay speaking and putting out the word that we can stay couple for life. All we have to do is really look to overcome our differences in our relationships.
I like that. And you know, this is what I love about this platform, Karen, because I get to meet people like you and get to share this amazing story. And, you know, sometimes, especially within the Black generation, I can see for myself from growing up, we only see our neighborhood and our community. And sometimes you don't have those mentors or the people that's in your community that you can get advice from. So I enjoy having like this platform so I can speak with people, individuals like yourself, where I'm like, man, that's so amazing. And I can follow you and just really, you could be my mentor from a distance, or anybody that's looking to get this advice. Yeah, be a mentor from a distance. It doesn't have to be someone next door, you know? So that's what this is all about, because we truly need one another.
Yes, we do.
We really do. So
especially in the marriage sisterhood, we really do, because that is, like you said earlier, sometimes we tend to change who we are, right? To try to fit into a relationship. That's not what we're called to do. I mean, you have a mommy business podcast because we're called to so much more than just being a wife and a mother.
Exactly.
Right? And how we balance that and support each other in that, you know, not at each other's necks, but really celebrate each other and support each other so that we can have the strongest relationships at home, but also with each other.
Yes. So with that being said, we're coming up on our final question. So this has been a good conversation. Karen, can you tell us, before becoming a wife, a mom, an entrepreneur, what is the best advice you received that has carried you along the way in your journey?
Okay, so my parents stayed together until they both passed away, right? And so I watched them over the years. And one of the things that and this is going to be funny to you, but one of the things that my mother always told me is that you don't always tell your mama everything. or your parents, everything. Because what happens is when you go through it with your spouse, you'll forgive them and move on, but your family does not. So
that's true.
Right. The best advice I got was keep your family out your business. Or as my pastor would say, keep mama and them out of your business.
Look, unless your mama is on this reality TV world and they like her reaction to things, so they's like, she gonna find out anyway. So.
Most of us are not on a reality show, though.
But now that's good advice. And I received that too, even with my friendship, because, you know, sometimes you will forgive your spouse or your friend, but then the person that you love, that loves you, and you told them about the situation, I'm like, I ain't fooling with them because they hurt you. So yes, I agree with that advice.
And it is a lot easier for us to forgive because we sleep with them every night and we talk to them, and you know the heart of another person. My uncle also says that he doesn't get involved in relationships with other people because nobody knows what lies between two people. Right? And that's why it's easier for you to listen to the heart of your man and say, okay, I forgive you for whatever, because nobody knows what's between the two of you.
Right.
What's between the two of you is between the two of you.
Right. Please share with our listeners how we can find out more information about you on social media, or how we can follow you online.
You can follow me everywhere with Beyond Two. Beyond Two is my Facebook, it's my Twitter, it's my Instagram, it's my website. Beyond2llc.com is my website. You can order the book there. You can order t-shirts there. You can get in contact with me if you want me to do a virtual speaking engagement. I've been doing a lot of those this year, and I actually love them. I can't wait to see people and touch people because that's my personality. But until then, that's what you can do. So you can reach out to me at any time at beyond2llc.com.
Thank you, Karen, so much for joining the Mommy Business Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.